Let's build a flipping PC. Okay, so I have confirmed that my house is leaning. My mom even said so, and I had to prop something underneath one of the camera tripod legs just to get an even shot, somewhat of an even shot. But anyway, what's up everybody, it's PJ the Great. I hope you're having a super beautiful day. And if you're new here, I do videos just like this, as well as tech reviews and gaming streams. So if that sounds like your jam, consider subscribing. And to all my returning subscribers, what's up great ones, welcome back. All right, so today I have a Flippin Gaming PC build, a $320 build that I'm gonna share with you all today. And I got all the parts all scattered about, and I'll go through each and every one of them. And this is a system that you should be able to build as of right now, 2021 February, for roughly around $320, just as long as you're willing to do some work to find these parts at reasonable prices. So without further ado, let's go over all the parts and then we'll get to the build. The first part is right here. Hopefully you can see that. I'll raise the box up a little bit. This is the Ryzen 5 2400G. This is an APU, 4 cores, 4 threads, and Vega 11 graphics. Now, everybody knows that graphics prices are crazy right now. You can't get your hands on an NVIDIA 30 series card unless you want to get ripped off. Same thing with the new AMD 6000 series cards. Can't get one unless you're willing to get ripped off. And even if you're buying something as simple as a RX 570, you're getting ripped off there too, because those cards could be had for $100 not too long ago, and now they're going for like $200. So you can go the APU route until the graphics cards prices get back to normal. You should be able to game on this chip at 1080p low settings to 720p low settings without any issues while you're holding out and waiting for graphics card prices to get back to normal, or if you want to pick up one of those new NVIDIA and AMD choices. You can find this for roughly around, I paid $130 for it, but that was like a little over a year ago. If you're willing to wait, you can go on AliExpress and find these for roughly around $110, $120. And sometimes you can find them on Amazon and eBay. I'll leave links in the description down below for all the parts that I'm going over today. Next up, I want to talk about the RAM. I'm going with 8 gigabytes of RAM. This is 2666 megahertz speed, 2 sticks of 4. Definitely go in dual channel when you're building an AMD build because you'll get better performance. Now I know what you're thinking, 8 gigabytes is not a lot, especially when you share some of this RAM with that APU, but it'll be enough to get you up and running, as I'll show you towards the end of the video. And you'll still be able to game on this as long as you're willing to shut down everything in the background and just focus on your gaming. 8 gigabytes will get you by. That's another thing that's gone up too lately is RAM prices. Just like probably like 6 months ago, I was able to get my hands on 16 gigabytes of RAM for only 50 bucks. Now it's like roughly 65, 70 bucks now. So 8 gigabytes to get you by until the RAM prices get down, and then get down and then you can upgrade to like 16 gigabytes. Next up to bat is the SSD. I highly recommend picking up an SSD for your OS so you can get a snappier experience. To stay within budget, I have a 120 gigabyte SSD. This is from Dyra. They don't make SSDs anymore, but I'll leave an equivalent in the description down below so you can find an alternative. You can roughly get a 120 gigabyte SSD these days for $20, sometimes even cheaper. Now sometimes I recommend, well not sometimes, but a majority of the times I recommend going with at least 240 gigabytes for your SSD for your OS, but you can get away with 120 gigabytes just as long as you're pairing it with an HDD, so you're not clogging up this with everything, because you're not going to be able to. It's very small. It'll be large enough though to hold the OS and maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite games. Just make sure one of your favorite games isn't Warzone, because it ain't fitting on this. And speaking of the HDD, I picked up this. This is a 1 terabyte Seagate HDD, 7200 RPM, SATA 3. I picked this up used or refurbished, and it was actually in pretty good condition. It was built in 2017, and the power on hours is very low on this. So you can save some money by going the used or refurbished route. Just make sure you check out how much mileage is on that HDD before you go that route. 1 terabyte will be good enough to get you up and running. You can get all your favorite games on here, and then make sure that you save all your music, your movies, your documents, your downloads. Reroute those to the hard drive so you're not clogging up that 120 gigabyte SSD. And just in case you're worried too, games will not be, you know, bottlenecked or suffer in performance by having them on a hard drive. The only thing that will happen is it might take you a little bit longer to load your games than if you had it on the SSD. But once you get into the game and you start playing, HDD will work just fine. Even an external HDD will work just fine. Next, we have our motherboard. This is a Gigabyte, one of my favorite brands for motherboards. I like Gigabyte and I like Asus. This is an A320M S2H motherboard. This will work just fine with this processor, and it is AMD Ryzen 3000 desktop ready. So somewhere down the line, if you want to upgrade to a better processor, you'll be able to go into the 3000 series on this motherboard just fine. Now, I typically go with A320 motherboards for a recommendation for builds, and the reason why is because if you're a person that really doesn't care about overclocking, you don't want to learn about it, you don't really care about it, you just want to plug and play and go, A320 is the way to go, or A520. You save like a little bit of money, say sometimes roughly around $10–15 by going this route rather than going B450, B550, or even X470 or X570. It'll operate just as well. You're just going to lose that overclocking ability. So don't hesitate to consider a A320 motherboard if you're not interested in overclocking at all. And we're going to have to juice this thing up. We have to give it some power. This is a plain old generic box. This inside is an HEC 400 watt bronze rated power supply. I paid $40 for this during the Fantastic deals over at Newegg. That was when we were having a power supply shortage. That has long gone now, so you can be able to get a pretty good power supply now for a great price. I paid $40 for this. I'll link an alternative down in the description below. This is going to work just fine for a system like this, 450 watts, and even when you're ready to upgrade in the future, you can go all the way up to, on the AMD side, a 5600 XT, and on the NVIDIA side, you can go all the way up to a 2060 or 2060 KO, and this 450 watt power supply will give you all the juice that you need. This is our little Windows 10 installation disk for our USB. And here is our case. This is a DIY case that I picked up on eBay. It was, how much did I pay for this thing? I think I paid $30 for it. It's not gonna win any awards in regards to the build quality of things like that. As you can see, it's super light. And I've heard a lot of horror stories with people buying DIY cases and they come like bent up and they have dents. This is only my second experience with one. The first one that I bought was from my friend Davey. That was in like fine condition, but this one here was like bent to all hell in the back, where you take off the back side panel. So I had to do some bending and got it back to a somewhat operable way so I can get the side panel off. So just be aware of that when picking up a DIY case. Sometimes they come partially damaged. I don't know what the deal is. The build quality is, like I said, is not gonna win any awards, but it'll definitely get you up and running in gaming for a very reasonable price. Feel free to go up in price if you want to. If you want to go above that $320 price tag, you can. There's really great cases out there for roughly around, say, $40, $50. That'll be a lot better than this, but this is keeping us within budget. Cable management wise, it's going to be a task in this. And one thing I did notice for the CPU power cord, I noticed that in my friend Davy's case and this case too, there is no hole to put the CPU power cord through. So, and there's very little room to hide cables in the back. So I'm gonna have to get real creative when doing that. I guess I have to save money somewhere, right? All right, so I think I've covered everything. So we're gonna get into the build. I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing assembled. And then after I do that, I am going to like test out a handful of games, and then we'll wrap this video up. So you'll find out if this $320 Flippin Gaming PC is worth your time and hard-earned money. So without further ado, let's get into the build. And that's as far as we got. Oh man, where do I start? Well, the unthinkable happened. Well, not for me at least. Got another bad motherboard. Yeah, I don't know what is the issue with me and my luck with motherboards, but I got another bad motherboard. Now I bought I guess it was like an open box customer return motherboard from Amazon to save a couple of bucks, and it bit me in the butt and it doesn't work. Amazon says they're willing to replace it with another open box customer return, but I'm done, y'all. I'm not doing open box return motherboards from Amazon anymore, because apparently Amazon does not test their motherboards that are returned by customers. They're returned for a reason. Pay attention to why the customer is returning it. Are they returning it because they don't like it, or are they returning it because it doesn't work? I honestly think that Amazon is just taking these motherboards that are returned and not even bothering to read why the customer returned it, and they're just boxing it back up, slapping some tape on it, putting that cute little label on it, and then reselling it, and then making us, the customer, test it out for them to see if it actually really works or not. So I was going to allow them to send me another used motherboard. Ain't nobody got time for that anymore. I just bought a new one. It's coming tomorrow. I figured I'll just wrap up this video now, and then that way the second video next weekend will be nothing but testing it out, seeing how this new flipping $320 build performs in games. So that'll be a part 2 video to look out for next weekend. But I mean, just heed my warning. You can do what you want to, but as far as I'm concerned, motherboards, if they're marked down, used, I don't care what kind of condition they say they're in, I ain't touching them anymore, because like I said, apparently Amazon is they're not testing them to see if they actually really work or not. They're making us test them. A little frustrating, but hey, you live and you learn. My luck with motherboards, man. Anyway, hey, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a big old thumbs up. But if you hated it, you can give it a thumbs down. But no matter what you do, don't forget to click that subscribe button and click the bell right next to it, so you'll be notified every time I upload new videos. And I apologize I wasn't able to finish this up for you guys and gals, but that just means I can go a little bit more in depth about the results of this build next weekend. So until then, this is PJ the Great saying Audi 5000 G. Never, ever will I buy a used open box motherboard from Amazon again. I'm done with that.